What is your advice to us as we go into the Christmas in terms of how to ensure that we avoid fires in the house, first of all?
Oh, all right. Let me start by saying good morning to you and then your cherished viewers. But we want to thank you for the opportunity given us to educate the general public on how to prevent fires from occurring during this time. If we are all aware, we will know that normally the Yuletide is associated with the Harmattan. Although this time we are not really feeling the Harmattan, you can still see or feel the dryness in the weather. And it needs to be careful in how to handle fires, especially around this area. My brother, you would also agree with me that during the Yuletide, a lot of cooking goes on in the house, a lot of merrymaking, playing of music, using the electricity and other things. So it is a Grand National Fire Service duty to educate the general public on how to prevent fires around this time. If we go to our kitchen, that is where a lot of cooking goes on there. So we want to advise that these are people, our ladies, our women, whoever cook around this time should not take mobile phone to the kitchen. It is a no. You should not take mobile phone to the kitchen. Aside that, we will also advise that all safety measures that we're putting in place be adhered to. What are some of the safety measures? All those who cook, for the fear of theft, they normally have their cylinders in the kitchen. We are advising that all gas cylinders should be moved out of the kitchen. For the fear of shortage of cylinder gas, people also patronize gas cylinders. They place some, the ones they are using outside, and then the ones they are storing are kept in the kitchen. We are saying it is a no, and please, nobody should do that. If you have any spare cylinder, please find somewhere outside of your home. Don't keep it in the room. Keep it outside of the room so that in case there is leakage, you don't compromise your family. We are as well advising that there is a methodology that we use in putting out fires. That is when we are using the gas. Let me start by educating that the first thing you have to do is, mostly when we send our gas cylinders to the vendors to fill them, to refill the gas, they normally check or they remove this black washer. That washer is supposed to hold the gas cylinder, the regulator firmly on your gas cylinder so that you don't put a heavy object on your cylinder. If you place a heavy object on your regulator, what it means is that there is leakage. And that leakage, when you place that heavy metal or object, the only thing it does is it reduces the sound, but the leakage will still be there. So when they go to change, they should ensure that the black rubber washers that are given to them are new ones. People are mischievous. Sometimes those who sell, what they do is when they remove your one out one, they put it aside. When somebody comes in, they resell it for the person. So please, before they change it, take it from them and ensure that it is not a one out one. So that when you fit your regulator on it, you don't have a problem. Mostly people also say that, when they fill the gas, they fill it halfway. They only put air in it, and instead of putting the gas. I would advise that it is better to be treated at the gas filling station than be favored. So when you go, don't tip them. Don't let them tell you that, when you add 20 cedis to it, we'll fill it to the brim. Gas cylinders are not supposed to be filled to the brim. So once you buy it, even if it is better to be treated, like I said, at the gas filling station than be favored, and you convey it to your house. The process you have to go through by cooking is the first and foremost thing. You go to your stove and then check the knobs on your stove if they are all off before you go and place the regulator on your cylinder. When you light up on the cylinder, when you put it on the cylinder, come to the burner or the stove. Light your match. Make sure you see the flames before you put on the gas. When you are done cooking, leave the fire on, go back to the cylinder, and then put it off least we are supposed to ensure that every gadget
No,
that you
before you go to the room, sir, I just wanted some emphasis. You are saying,
okay.
because you know a lot of people use. So what about those who use is it gas cookers? You know, there's a knob you use to turn the fire off before you go and switch it off at the cylinder.
Yes, that is what people do. But we are saying that is not the normal thing to do.
Okay.
When you put it off on the burner before you go to the cylinder, what happens is that gas is trapped in the tube.
Oh, okay.
When the cubic of a centimeter is discharged into the atmosphere, it multiplies itself by 255, and that is enough to set your entire edifice ablaze. But when you go and put it off on the cylinder, when the gas trapped in the tube burns out, automatically the fire goes off under the foot. Then you can turn the knob on.
Oh, okay.
So I know a lot of people do it that way. You put it off on the burner or the gas stove before you go to the cylinder. When you do that, gas is trapped in the tube, and it's not the best practice.
Thank you for that. You are moving to the what we do in the house itself. Moving from
Yes,
the
exactly. When we go to the house, we have a lot of gadgets that uses what thermostat. Gadgets like irons, fridges, deep freezers, your air conditioning, and other things. Yes, they use thermostat. What does the thermostat do? When these gadgets are working, they work for a period of time, and then they take a breather. So you hear a cut. The thermostat cut. So you hear cut. And then the gadgets take a breather. Some will say, oh, after my fridge is very strong. Even when you put water at the fridge side, it turns into ice. What I want to tell you is then your how do we call it? Your thermostat is not functioning properly. And when your thermostat is not functioning properly and your fridge is on all the time, first and foremost, you'll be paying high electricity bills. And secondly, there's the tendency that gadget can catch fire at any time because it doesn't take a breather. Fridges, freezers, air conditioners, and irons are designed such that when they work for a period, there's a cut, then they take a breather. So people should ensure they should bring in refrigerators to come and work on such things when they notice that they are not hearing a cut from their fridges, their freezers, their irons, and other things. If you don't ensure and the gadget keeps pulling electricity, it will heat up to a time, and then sometimes it will give way when it comes into contact with any flammable substances. That is why sometimes you have people who say, my air conditioner was on and I don't know, all of a sudden it started fire. These are some of the reasons why we get air conditioning, fridges, and irons and other things catching fire because their thermostats do not work properly. Things like fans and other electrical gadgets in the room, they do not have thermostats. So, but don't let your fan be on for hours. There are some fans that will go working the whole day. This is not a good practice because it is gadgets. And you know electricity produces what? Heat. So when it keeps consuming electricity, it will heat up, and by the time you realize, your gadget will be on flame. We should be careful around this time how we handle naked fires. The reason is, when the harmattan comes, what it does is that it takes out the moisture from every flammable substance. So anything that burns, you may see a green leaf, and you may think, oh, out of green leaf, it has a lot of moisture, so it cannot burn. But during the harmattan season, what happens is the harmattan takes out the moisture, leaving all those flammable substances, even including the green leaf, leaving them to the lowest ignition temperature. So when they come into contact with any flammable substance, they burn everything. So around this time, we are also advising people in the farming areas not to use fires to clear their farms. They shouldn't use fires. If in case they have to use fires, then they need to create a fire belt around their farm areas, and then also employ the services of the trained volunteer firefighters to be present, so that when flying ambers don't go into other areas to burn other people's farms.
Well,
hello, my brother.
Yes. I was listening to you attentively because there's a lot I'm learning myself from listening to you. I realized a lot of us, in terms of the matter of the cylinder not being located within the kitchen.
Exactly.
For a lot of people, that's a difficult choice to make, that you want to expose your cylinder. Perhaps if you forget it, you will expose it to theft.
We are afraid of issues with what? Theft. But the biggest thief is the cylinder in your room. The biggest thief is the cylinder in your room. If the thief comes, the thief will take only one cylinder and go. But when the fire comes, you can't negotiate for it. You can't negotiate for your life. It consumes everything, including yourself, your loved ones, and everything you've acquired over the period of years. So which one do you think is the best? Is it the bigger thief in the room or the bigger thief outside? That is a choice for us to make.
And then you are saying when you are for filling cylinders,
Yes.
you said better to be cheated than to be filled.
Yes. You understand? Yes. When you take it to the filling station, some of these gas filling attendants are ignorant of some of these things, although we have been training them over the years. But they tell you, oh, if you want your gas to last longer, add 30 cedis, add 40 cedis, then I'll fill it to the brim. But my brother, even if you fill a gas cylinder to the brim and you light it, it will not light. If you are able to fill it to the brim and you light it, it will not light. And the gas is designed such that when it is placed in your cylinder, the slightest vigorous movement giving the gas, there's an expansion created. So there's supposed to be an airspace to contain that expansion. But where you have filled it to the brim, and yourself, you said this gas cylinder is heavy. So sometimes you leave it in your car boot, and then it will be dangling. Or the people put it on the floor, and then they roll it. What happens is that you are creating unnecessary tension in the cylinder. And this is where it is filled to the brim. So when the expansion is taking place, where does it go? Those are the reasons why they lead towards explosion. So we are not supposed to fill our cylinders to the brim. The cylinders are designed such that when you get a cylinder, you divide it into 4 equal parts. You are supposed to fill 1/3. The other space that is left is where what we call the airspace. That is to contain the expansion when expansion is being created in the cylinder. That your eyes will not see.
Well, let me conclude then by asking you about, for those of us, if you step out, a lot of people go out to get some food, to drink, among others. What should we be paying attention to? Because sometimes you can have some of these areas where we do the merrymaking, maybe a fire outbreak in there. What do you do? What do you check out for when you go to those places?
Okay. So I would say before you leave your house, make sure you put all your electrical gadgets, those that are not supposed to be on, you put them off, and then you unplug them before you go out there to have fun. Fine. When you get to somewhere, maybe a pub, a joint, wherever, a restaurant, wherever you find yourself, the thing you should first and foremost look out for is an alternative exit. Make sure the premises you find yourself, there is an alternative exit. If you have enough alternative exits and there's an emergency, you can easily go out without any help. And then ensure that everywhere you go, at least there are extinguishers available. If you don't, because definitely nobody will, you will not see what is happening in their kitchen. So, but anywhere you go, you should watch out for at least a portable fire extinguisher along the exit way, so that in case you are trained, when something happens, you can quickly reach out for the fire extinguisher and then douse it. But the most important thing for you to look out for is the exit and an alternative exit. In case of emergency, where can you go through? If it is only one exit way, then you'll be trapped. Then you are not supposed to go to such places, because it is a law that when you build pubs, restaurants, and other things, you should provide an alternative exit in case of an emergency.
Well, let me conclude by then asking you the message that Ghana National Fire Service is Christmas, and of course the New Year will follow immediately after the Christmas. What's the message from the Ghana National Fire Service to the Ghanaians listening to you currently?
Okay, so what I would say is, in fact, we are all aware of the devastating effects of fires, what fires leave in their wake. The resultant effect is loss of life, loss of property, and loss of income. So let us all guard against bad fires and then live for 2023.